Most women think attraction is what makes a man fall, but attraction only opens the door. What actually pulls a man closer, what makes him emotionally attached, are psychological experiences that hit far deeper than looks ever could. Tonight, I'm going to show you 5 subtle psychological turn-ons that don't just make a man notice you, they make him feel something he can't forget. Emotional safety is one of the most powerful forces in human connection, yet it is often misunderstood or overlooked in favor of physical attraction. While attraction may spark interest, emotional safety is what allows attachment to grow, deepen, and endure. A man may notice beauty instantly, but he becomes bonded when he feels emotionally safe, when being with someone feels calm, grounding, and freeing rather than tense or uncertain. Emotional safety doesn't announce itself loudly. It works quietly, shaping how someone feels long after the moment has passed. When a man experiences emotional safety, his nervous system relaxes. He doesn't feel like he has to impress, perform, or constantly prove his worth. Instead, he feels accepted as he is. This sense of acceptance creates a psychological environment where vulnerability becomes possible. Vulnerability is the gateway to real attachment, because it allows a person to reveal fears, hopes, insecurities, and desires without the fear of being judged or dismissed. Physical attraction may excite the senses, but emotional safety soothes the mind, and the mind is where attachment takes root. Many men move through relationships feeling subtly evaluated whether they are successful enough, confident enough, strong enough, or emotionally controlled enough. When a woman offers emotional safety, she interrupts that pattern. She listens without rushing to fix or criticize. She allows space for emotions without using them as leverage. Over time, this creates a powerful association in his mind. With her, he can exhale. That feeling of relief becomes deeply addictive, because peace is far rarer than excitement in modern relationships. Emotional safety also builds trust, which is the foundation of attachment. Trust doesn't come from words alone. It comes from consistent emotional experiences. When reactions are predictable rather than volatile, when disagreements don't lead to emotional punishment, and when communication feels respectful even during conflict, trust grows naturally. A man begins to trust not just the woman, but the relationship itself. He trusts that expressing himself won't cost him affection or respect. This sense of reliability is what allows emotional bonds to deepen beyond surface-level attraction. Another reason emotional safety creates stronger attachment is that it allows a man to feel valued for who he is, not just what he provides. Physical attraction often centers on appearance, status, or chemistry, all of which can feel conditional. Emotional safety communicates something deeper. You matter even when you're not impressive. That message touches a fundamental human need. When a man feels seen and valued beyond his utility or performance, he becomes emotionally invested in preserving that connection. Over time, emotional safety reshapes desire itself. A man doesn't just want to be around the woman who makes him feel safe. He begins to want to protect the bond. He thinks about how his actions affect her. He becomes more consistent, more present, and more intentional. This is not driven by obligation, but by attachment. The relationship feels like a place of emotional refuge, and humans naturally protect what feels like home. Physical attraction can fluctuate. It can be influenced by stress, age, environment, and novelty. Emotional safety, however, grows stronger with time. The more experiences a couple shares where emotions are handled with care, the deeper the bond becomes. This is why many long-lasting relationships don't rely on constant excitement, but on a profound sense of emotional understanding and security. Ultimately, emotional safety creates attachment because it meets a core psychological need, the need to be accepted without fear. When a man feels emotionally safe, he doesn't just enjoy a woman's presence, he integrates her into his emotional world. She becomes someone he turns to, thinks about, and feels connected to even when she isn't there. Attraction may open the door, but emotional safety is what makes him stay, invest, and build something real. Being chosen carries a psychological weight that being chased never fully achieves. While pursuit can create excitement and validation, it often lacks the depth and meaning that comes from knowing someone has intentionally selected you. When a man feels chosen, he doesn't just feel desired, he feels valued. That distinction is powerful because desire can be fleeting, but value suggests intention, discernment, and emotional investment. Being chosen signals that he stands out, not because of convenience or persistence, but because of who he is. Chasing often triggers a different psychological response. When someone is being chased, the attention can feel overwhelming or even devalued over time. Constant pursuit removes the sense of risk and discovery that fuels emotional engagement. If affection is guaranteed regardless of effort, it can unconsciously reduce appreciation for the bond. In contrast, being chosen implies that a woman had options, reflected, and then made a deliberate decision. That awareness creates pride and emotional significance because the connection feels earned rather than assumed. When a woman chooses a man, especially from a place of fullness rather than need, it communicates confidence and self-respect. She is not seeking validation to fill an emotional void. She is inviting someone into an already meaningful life. This dynamic shifts the emotional balance of the relationship. The man doesn't feel responsible for her happiness, but honored to be included in it. Psychologically, this creates attraction rooted in respect rather than obligation, which is far more sustainable. Being chosen also activates a man's sense of agency and identity. Instead of reacting to pursuit, he becomes an active participant in the connection. He feels seen for his character, values, and presence, not merely as a target of affection. This recognition strengthens emotional attachment because it aligns with a core human desire to be known and selected for one's authentic self. The feeling of "she wants me" specifically lingers far longer than the thrill of being pursued. There is also an element of emotional safety in being chosen. Chasing can sometimes carry unspoken pressure, expectations to reciprocate at the same intensity or timeline. Being chosen, on the other hand, often comes with calm assurance. The interest feels stable, grounded, and intentional rather than urgent or anxious. This steadiness allows emotional connection to grow naturally, without fear of disappointing someone who is overly invested too quickly. Another reason being chosen feels more powerful is that it preserves mystery and autonomy. When a woman does not revolve her life around winning someone over, she maintains her individuality. Her interests, boundaries, and self-direction remain intact. This independence is psychologically attractive because it signals strength and emotional maturity. The man senses that her choice is meaningful precisely because it wasn't automatic or desperate, it was conscious. Over time, being chosen fosters deeper commitment. A man who feels selected is more likely to invest because he feels worthy of that investment. He wants to live up to the choice that was made. This is not about pressure or proving himself, it's about mutual respect. He sees the relationship as something valuable, something that deserves care and consistency. The bond becomes collaborative rather than one-sided. Ultimately, being chosen resonates more deeply than being chased because it affirms identity, value, and intention. Chasing may ignite attention, but choice builds attachment. When a man knows he was chosen not because he was available, persistent, or convenient, but because he was genuinely desired, he experiences a form of connection that is grounding and memorable. That feeling doesn't fade quickly because it speaks to something deeper than attraction. It speaks to worth. Mystery plays a powerful role in attraction because it keeps the mind engaged, curious, and emotionally invested. While openness and honesty are essential for healthy connection, revealing everything too quickly can remove the psychological tension that fuels desire. Mystery is not about manipulation or playing games. It is about allowing depth to unfold naturally over time. When there is space to discover someone rather than having them fully explained upfront, curiosity stays alive, and curiosity is one of the strongest drivers of desire. The human brain is wired to pay attention to what it does not fully understand. What is familiar too quickly becomes predictable, and what is predictable often loses its emotional charge. Mystery introduces a sense of anticipation. When a man senses there is more to learn about a woman, her thoughts, her values, her experiences, his mind stays engaged even when she is not present. He thinks about her, reflects on interactions, and looks forward to future moments. This mental engagement deepens emotional interest far more than constant availability or overexposure. Mystery also signals confidence and self-worth. A woman who does not feel the need to explain every detail of her life immediately communicates that she is comfortable with herself. She is not rushing to be understood or validated. This calm self-possession is attractive because it suggests emotional independence. When someone's identity is not fully accessible right away, it creates a sense of respect and intrigue. It subtly communicates that connection is earned through time, presence, and genuine interest. Another reason mystery sustains desire is that it allows emotional pacing. When emotional intimacy unfolds gradually, each layer feels meaningful. Conversations become moments of discovery rather than information dumps. This pacing mirrors how trust naturally develops, making the bond feel organic instead of forced. When too much emotional information is shared too soon, it can overwhelm or flatten the emotional arc of a relationship. Mystery preserves that arc, allowing excitement and connection to build rather than peak too early. Mystery also encourages pursuit on a psychological level. When a man senses there is more beneath the surface, he becomes motivated to engage, ask questions, and invest effort. This is not about withholding affection or being distant. It is about allowing him to participate in the process of knowing you. Participation creates ownership, and ownership increases attachment. When he feels like he is discovering you rather than being handed everything at once, the connection feels more personal and earned. Importantly, true mystery is rooted in authenticity. It is not silence, emotional unavailability, or intentional confusion. Instead, it is about living a full life, having passions, boundaries, and inner depth that naturally take time to reveal. A woman who has her own interests, emotional world, and sense of purpose does not need to manufacture mystery. It exists because her life is rich and layered. This kind of mystery feels grounding rather than frustrating, inviting rather than distancing. As relationships progress, mystery does not disappear, it evolves. Even long-term partners can maintain curiosity by continuing to grow, change, and explore themselves. Desire stays alive when partners remain interested in who the other is becoming, not just who they were at the beginning. Mystery in this sense is not about secrecy, but about ongoing discovery. No one is ever fully finished or completely known, and honoring that keeps attraction dynamic. Ultimately, mystery keeps curiosity and desire alive because it respects the natural rhythm of human connection. It allows attraction to breathe, curiosity to build, and desire to deepen over time. When someone feels there is always more to learn, more to understand, and more to experience, the bond remains engaging and emotionally charged. Mystery doesn't push someone away, it invites them closer, one meaningful step at a time. Appreciation is not flattery, and it is not approval seeking. It is recognition. When a man feels genuinely appreciated, something subtle but powerful happens inside him. His emotional investment deepens, not because he's being manipulated or praised into attachment, but because appreciation tells him that what he gives matters, that his effort has meaning, and that his presence is seen rather than taken for granted. At the core of most men is a desire to contribute. He wants to feel useful, capable, and impactful in the life of the woman he cares about. When appreciation is expressed sincerely, it validates that desire. It says, "What you do makes a difference to me." That message lands far deeper than surface-level compliments about looks or status. It speaks directly to identity. And when a man's identity feels valued, he leans in emotionally. Many people underestimate how rare true appreciation actually is. In the early stages of attraction, excitement is often mistaken for gratitude. Texts are frequent, energy is high, and attention flows easily. But appreciation shows up when effort becomes consistent rather than flashy. It shows up when you notice reliability, thoughtfulness, and intention. When a man realizes that his consistency is not invisible, he begins to associate emotional safety and reward with the connection. That association strengthens attachment. There is also an important distinction between appreciation and dependency. Appreciation does not say, "I need you to be okay." It says, "I value you because of who you are and how you show up." That difference is crucial. Dependency creates pressure. Appreciation creates pride. A man who feels pressure will pull away to regain autonomy. A man who feels pride will invest more because the relationship reinforces his sense of self. Appreciation also encourages emotional risk. Men are often cautious about vulnerability because vulnerability carries the risk of being dismissed or minimized. When appreciation is present, emotional openness feels safer. If he senses that his effort, honesty, or emotional expression is met with respect, he becomes more willing to share deeper parts of himself. This deepens emotional intimacy, which in turn strengthens commitment. It's also worth noting that appreciation is cumulative. One kind word can brighten a moment, but consistent appreciation builds a narrative. Over time, a man begins to tell himself a story about the relationship. This is a place where I'm valued. That story becomes part of how he defines the bond. Walking away from it then feels like walking away from something meaningful, not just from a person. However, appreciation must be specific to be effective. Vague praise feels forgettable. Specific appreciation feels personal. Noticing the way he handled a difficult situation, the thought he put into planning, or the effort he made despite being tired shows that you are paying attention. Attention is the currency of emotional investment. When he feels seen in detail, not just in general, attachment grows. Finally, appreciation works because it creates positive reinforcement without control. You are not asking him to change. You are acknowledging what already exists. This makes him more likely to continue showing up in the same way, not out of obligation, but out of desire. Desire rooted in appreciation is sustainable because it feels chosen, not demanded. In the end, appreciation reinforces a man's emotional investment because it meets him at the intersection of effort and meaning. It tells him that what he gives is received, that who he is recognized, and that the connection is a place where his presence matters. When that happens, emotional investment doesn't have to be forced. It grows naturally, quietly, and deeply. Emotional steadiness is one of the most underrated forces in attraction, yet it is the quality that determines whether desire fades or deepens over time. In the beginning, chemistry often thrives on unpredictability, excitement, and intensity, but intensity alone cannot sustain attraction. What keeps someone emotionally invested long-term is the feeling that being with you brings calm rather than chaos, clarity rather than confusion, and grounding rather than emotional whiplash. Emotional steadiness does not mean being emotionally flat or distant. It means being regulated. It means you can feel deeply without being ruled by those feelings. When someone experiences this in a relationship, they associate you with safety, and safety, contrary to popular belief, does not kill attraction. It anchors it. A man who feels emotionally safe with you does not feel trapped. He feels free to invest without fear of sudden punishment, withdrawal, or volatility. Inconsistency creates anxiety. Anxiety may create obsession in the short term, but it erodes trust over time. Emotional steadiness does the opposite. It communicates that your reactions are proportional, your communication is honest, and your presence is reliable. When a man knows where he stands with you, he can relax into the connection. That relaxation allows attraction to mature into something stronger than surface-level desire. One of the most magnetic aspects of emotional steadiness is predictability in values, not behavior. You are not boring because you are steady, you are trustworthy. He knows that disagreement won't turn into drama, and distance won't turn into punishment. This doesn't mean you tolerate poor treatment. In fact, emotional steadiness includes having clear boundaries and enforcing them calmly. That combination, self-respect without hostility, is deeply attractive because it signals strength. Men are especially drawn to emotional environments where they are not constantly managing reactions. If every conversation feels like a test or every silence feels like a trap, emotional energy is drained. Steadiness restores energy. It makes the relationship feel like a place of refuge rather than a battlefield. Over time, the desire to return to that emotional peace grows stronger, not weaker. Emotional steadiness also fosters respect. When you don't overreact, chase reassurance, or collapse under uncertainty, you show confidence in yourself and in your worth. That confidence is contagious. It sets the emotional tone of the relationship. Instead of being pulled into cycles of reassurance and doubt, the connection stabilizes. Stability allows attraction to deepen because both people can show up more fully without self-protection. Another powerful effect of emotional steadiness is that it encourages emotional honesty. A man is more likely to share fears, doubts, and vulnerabilities when he trusts that those emotions will be met with understanding rather than escalation. When he can be human without consequences, emotional intimacy expands. Intimacy built on steadiness lasts because it is not fueled by adrenaline, but by connection. Over time, attraction shifts from excitement to attachment. This shift is not a loss, it is an evolution. Emotional steadiness supports that evolution by creating continuity. You don't disappear emotionally when things get hard, and you don't become overwhelming when things get good. This balance makes the relationship feel durable. Durability is attractive because it suggests a future, not just a moment. Ultimately, emotional steadiness builds long-term attraction because it makes love feel livable. It turns connection into something sustainable rather than exhausting. Passion may spark attraction, but steadiness keeps it alive. When someone associates you with peace, clarity, and emotional safety, choosing you again and again feels natural. And that repeated choice is the true foundation of lasting attraction. Self-respect is quiet, but it speaks louder than any performance ever could. It doesn't announce itself, it doesn't demand attention, and it doesn't try to convince anyone of its worth. Instead, it shows up in behavior, in standards, and in the way someone moves through the world. And that is precisely why it is so irresistible. Self-respect signals value without asking for validation. And value that doesn't beg to be recognized is the kind people instinctively lean toward. Attraction is deeply influenced by how someone treats themselves. When you respect your own time, your emotions, and your boundaries, you communicate that these things matter. Others take their cues from you. A person who tolerates inconsistency, disrespect, or neglect teaches people that those behaviors are acceptable. A person with self-respect does the opposite. They don't punish, threaten, or lecture. They simply do not stay where they are undervalued. That absence of desperation is magnetic because it suggests abundance rather than scarcity. Self-respect also creates clarity. Many relationships falter not because of lack of attraction, but because of emotional confusion. When someone lacks self-respect, they send mixed signals. They say they want more but accept less. They voice discomfort but stay silent when boundaries are crossed. This inconsistency weakens attraction because it introduces doubt. Self-respect removes that doubt. It aligns words with actions, and alignment is attractive because it feels stable, grounded, and trustworthy. There is also a profound confidence embedded in self-respect that cannot be faked. Confidence rooted in ego seeks approval. Confidence rooted in self-respect is indifferent to it. This doesn't mean being cold or closed off. It means being warm without being needy, open without being overexposed. When someone knows they will be okay regardless of the outcome, their presence changes. They listen more fully. They react less impulsively. They don't rush to secure a connection out of fear. That emotional composure is deeply compelling. Self-respect sets the tone for how intimacy unfolds. It allows closeness to grow organically rather than urgently. When you don't give too much too fast, not because of strategy but because you value yourself, intimacy feels earned. A man senses this. He recognizes that access to you is not automatic. It is built through consistency and effort. This does not create distance. It creates investment. People invest more in what they respect. Another key element of self-respect is emotional accountability. You own your feelings without making them someone else's responsibility. You don't blame, manipulate, or guilt someone into showing up. You express needs clearly and accept the response for what it is. If someone cannot meet you where you are, self-respect allows you to walk away without bitterness. That ability to choose peace over attachment is one of the strongest signals of value there is. Self-respect also protects attraction over time. Desire erodes when one person becomes smaller to keep the connection alive. When you abandon your standards, your voice, or your identity to be chosen, you may gain proximity but lose polarity. Self-respect preserves that polarity because you remain whole. You don't trade authenticity for approval. And authenticity sustains attraction far longer than people pleasing ever could. Ultimately, self-respect is irresistible because it communicates that you are not trying to be chosen, you are choosing to. It tells the world that your presence is intentional, your boundaries are meaningful, and your standards are not negotiable. When someone senses that being with you is a privilege rather than a rescue, attraction shifts from curiosity to commitment. That shift happens not because you demanded it, but because your self-respect made it undeniable.